I hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Colin. I'm here today with Alessandro from Wildlife Studios. We're going to have a little chat about Castle Crush. What's it all about and what are the opportunities regarding the NFTs, what it looks like. Obviously, in Digits Club, I already gave a little bit of a summary, but I can never explain it as well, Alessandro, as you did. So please, could you give us a little bit of a background of Wildlife Studios, what it is you do, and what we're going to look at today?
Yeah. So Wildlife Studios is a mobile game developer and publisher. We've been around for 11 years, so basically since smartphone gaming began. So we're obviously coming from Web 2. The company has around 70 plus games published. We're close to reaching actually 3 billion downloads across the portfolio. 1,300 employees, headquarters in 5 countries. So it's a big company, and we're very excited to come into Web 3. Obviously, everything is pretty new to us. A bunch of different challenges when we start looking at Web 3, but Castle Crush is going to be our first game in the space, and we're super excited. In 9 days is going to be the whitelist mint, so we're very close.
What is it specifically why you guys chose Castle Crush to be the first mover on the scene for you guys to basically bridge Web 2 to Web 3?
So Castle Crush is a game that is already live. It was launched in 2016. Again, just for mobile devices. We don't do PC, we don't do console. And there are a few factors that we think made Castle Crush a good candidate for a first game of ours. So one thing is it has a solid player base. So there's more than 1 million players playing the game actively up to this day with almost zero marketing. So there's a big player base, and when we look at our players, many of them are super competitive. We think there are about 40,000 players that play daily very competitively. Some of our employees have sort of like infiltrated the top clans. We're in WhatsApp groups, Line groups, and we see that they're very competitive, very active. There's the whole political scene behind the clan. So on one side, there's this large audience, very engaged audience, very competitive game, and on the other side is the game itself. So it's a real-time strategy game where you enter the battle with a deck of cards, and we think in general card games lend themselves well to NFTs. They allow for a lower price point because there are multiple cards in these games, right? So you can price the entry-level NFTs at a lower price point. So we think it's a good match with NFTs, and also we all like the experience. I think many of us have played or have seen games like Pokemon, the physical trading game, or Magic the Gathering, and so that whole experience of being able to trade your cards and choose the deck that you want to build, that wasn't really possible in our Web 2 game, and we wanted to sort of like let the players customize and be able to choose and have that thrilling, that thrill of being able to trade cards.
Right, makes sense. Could you perhaps the presentation you showed me last time, could you show that in terms of the gameplay? Because we always have, well, when I say we, I mean me. When I review crypto projects and I see trading card games, I'm usually not too enthusiastic, but this is quite a different gameplay than your regular, let's say, auto battler trading card game, right? This is more about deploying the cards to, let's say, minions on the battlefield, kind of, and then what do? They kill each other, right?
Can you allow me to share my screen, please? I think you need to make me I'll share the screen, the gameplay screen, in a second.
Yeah, that's a good question, because we're in the webinar mode right now, so I don't have the security, but maybe I can pull it up myself in that case. Let me just see where I can grab it. Because you did send it to me, right, last time?
I just send you on the Zoom chat, but yeah, I can't. For some reason, my screen sharing is disabled.
Yeah, that's all good. I'll pull it up, because
slide number 7.
It made it so much easier to visualize, right? If we can see what is looking at. All right. So slide number 7. Yeah. All right. So this is the one, right?
Yes.
Could you walk us through it, please?
Yeah, so it's a 1 versus 1 game. You always play against another human player. It's pretty fast paced, so battles last between 30 seconds even to 3 minutes. So it's good for that quick fix. Um, basically your castle is on the left, your opponent's castle is on the right. There are 3 lanes or pathways that connect these castles together. Um, you have, as we mentioned, you build a deck of cards before the match begins. There are 14 cards, which you can see in the bottom of the screen. And then it's real time. It's not turn based. So you drag or you click and click on the lane that you want to deploy the cards on. They can be minion cards. They can be spell cards. And there's a ton of strategy that's involved. So there's the layer of strategy in the deck building before you enter the battle. But then when the battle begins, there's really a lot of skill involved. Many of these cards have some pretty cool mechanics that require you to be fast and try to counter your enemy in real time. So they're dropping spells and minions all the time into the battlefield, and you have to react to that really fast. There's a lot of choices that you need to make. If you deploy, let's say, a card, you spend mana, which is these blue little crystals at the bottom, and you have to wait for them to deplete to replenish, right? So every card that you drop, you have to wait more time until you drop your next one. So there's a bunch of trade-offs that go on in real time, and you have to like have very fast decision making during the match to actually be able to win.
Makes sense. I mean, the game sounds simple, but I think as a player still might be quite complex at times, right? Because I would get nervous. So basically the idea is, if I understand correctly, kill the other player's creatures and make sure that they don't have any mana to deploy cards, and then you win.
Yeah, because the mana regenerates forever, they're always going to be putting more cards in. You buy a card every 10 seconds, so your objective is to try to move your minions as close as possible to the enemy castle so that they attack them. If there are troops in the way, they will need to defeat those troops first. And there are some spells that you can use to directly attack your enemy's castle as well. So yeah, so you can do a strategy where you try to sort of win in 1 or 2 or 3 lanes at the same time. You can there's a lot of depth where you can just ignore, let's say, one of the lanes, let your opponent win on that one, and you focus on the other 2, and you just keep stalling them on that lane. So whichever lane you can get to your enemy's castle at the right side, you will attack it. You do not need to destroy, let's say, the 3 lanes. It's
Right.
one shared HP, like there's a shared health pool for the castle wherever you attack it from.
Makes sense. Understand. And what would be, because I think the game is quite simple to understand. The user base is already huge, and the company has a tremendous amount of experience, right? Probably one of the most experienced companies we've seen. What is it that you're trying to do with this Web 2 to Web 3 bridge?
Yeah, so like I think we sort of touched a little bit upon this. I think our objective here is to bring this extra level of customization to decks so that these, especially for players that are coming into the game now, um, they can choose their style of gameplay. They can choose the type of deck that they want to build, and they can go for that deck. And it wasn't really possible in the current version of the game. If you anybody that's ever played a game that is similar to this, another example could be Clash Royale, which is a very famous game. You sort of level all your cards sort of like in parallel, right? It's very hard to choose specific cards that you want to have upgraded. So we think allowing people to trade cards is super interesting. But there's this whole concept of you're not spending in the game anymore, you're investing. So every time you buy an NFT, you play the game. If you want to quit the game, you can sell it and either make a profit or perhaps recover a good part of what you invested, right?
Right.
And people have been playing this game for fun. Like over 1 million people have been playing the game just for fun with no perspective of earning, right? So we think this is just an added layer where people can feel safer maybe to invest in the game, and then they can, when they want to leave the game, they can recover some of their investments. So there's a whole different level of a whole new angles that appear. And then of course, there's a lot of new entrants that come into a Web3 game that don't really exist in the Web2 space. You have the figures of guilds, of scholars. You have, people that try to whale it out and be the top player in the game and earn more tokens and NFTs, and these layers, right? And they will live together with Web2 players that play the game just for fun. They're not expecting to extract any monetary value from the game. They're just trying to play the game and be competitive and win. So these new figures are interacting with the game, and we think it's going to be really exciting to see how it shapes out.
Yeah, because I can imagine to balance, let's say, the internal economy is definitely a challenge with all of these different style of user groups. Perhaps might bring us to one of the most interesting topics, which is tokenomics, right? Because the tokenomics, they need to be balanced. And in terms of how the token works, I understand, at least from what you told me last time, it's a very well thought out process. But could you walk us through what it looks like, the distribution, etc.?
Sure. So what we aimed to do was, because we're always coming from the perspective of having a Web2 player base, we wanted to make it in a way as simple as possible. So we're adding it's going to be a one token economy. It's called our token is going to be called Ascension Crystals, or ACS for short. So we will have the NFTs and the ACS, and they have a very simple loop between them. So there are two ways that you can acquire your NFTs. You can just buy them, either from us or from another player in the marketplace, or you can keep progressing your cards the same way you already do in Web2. Once they get to a very high level, you can keep progressing them and they become an NFT. We're calling this ascension, right? You can ascend your cards. When you play with these NFTs, they generate ACS. With ACS, you can purchase more NFTs. So there's a sort of a loop there, like a very simple loop that exists there. Of course, because we are designing a one token economy, ACS is going to be a utility token, not a governance token. So we are designing as many sinks as we can for ACS. So apart from buying NFTs, we're also adding upgrades to NFTs. They won't change the stats. It's not going to be like a pay to win game where you can keep purchasing ACS and making your card stronger. You spend ACS to make the yield generation of the NFTs higher. So it's sort of like a down payment to increase your ACS flow forever. There are going to be ACS tournaments. So basically today there already exist tournaments in the game. You pay hard currency, what we call gems in the game, to enter. Those are the highest prizes that exist in the game today. We're going to add a ACS tournament as well. It's purely skill based, so all the card levels of all players are the same on tournaments. There are going to be cosmetic items, so there's a bunch of sinks to ACS. And then I think the first question that comes up when we share that we're adding just a utility token as well. Are you going to have infinite emissions as more players get NFTs and NFTs generate ACS?
How
In
does
the
that
end
work?
of you're just going to keep emitting, ACS, and the value is going to go to zero, right? Or it's going to keep decreasing forever, which is what usually happens with any game that has a utility token like Thetan Arena maybe is the largest one on mobile. So we're designing a little bit different. We're calling it almost like a hybrid model where our ACS is going to be capped at 1 billion. So we're never going to emit more than 1 billion. And the daily emissions, so the way these 1 billion are going to be emitted is most of these emissions are going to be for player rewards. So we sort of looked at the benchmarks of how many companies are emitting to players versus to themselves. We found 70% to be like a top level for players, and we decided to go a bit further. So we're emitting 80%. So we're sort of minting 80% of ACS straight to player wallets through gameplay. So as they play with their NFTs, they get the ACS. And the way that we're going to prevent the value from continually going down is the amount of ACS that we distribute per day is the same. It's flat. And the players will fight for their share of that pool of ACS that we are rewarding every day. The
So
amounts
more
that the player
players, less potential ACS per day.
per player, yes.
Yeah.
So that we think that the ACS value will either stay stable or it will tend to increase as players find it. There are more players playing with NFTs.
Yeah, more demand. Yeah, would go
More
up.
demand.
Yeah.
Yep. And the supply is the same. So
Interesting.
that's like the high level view that we have. Yeah.
The NFTs on the marketplace, which a user one day want to enter the Web3 on Castle Crush, they could buy them. When you say buy them, can they buy them in with a credit card, or could they only buy them with Ascension crystals?
Cool. So the first drop that we're doing now, the 19th of May will be our first mint. It will be only sold for AVAX. So players are buying from us a chest, which acts like a loot box. So one chest equals one NFT. There's a pool of different cards that exist in each chest. So for example, for this month, if you buy our Ascended chest, that goes from
Let
around
me share the screen
$75.
so I can pull it up for you.
Yeah. I think
This
it's
one?
slide. You can go, I think, one more. Yeah, so we're gonna have two different types of chests that we will sell, the Founders and the Ascended. The one in the right, the Ascended chests are going to be the entry point for most players. They go for around $75 for our whitelist. Public price is like $100. So compared to other NFT projects, we think we're on the lower end. Of course, with a recent market crash, maybe new references will come up, but so this is the way we're so when you buy an Ascended chest, there's a pool of cards that can drop from it. So for example, now on month 1, when we sell the chest, when you open your chest, you'll get one NFT card from a total pool of from 4 to 8 cards, right? And then every month, the Ascended chest that we'll sell will have a different pool of cards. It will never repeat until we
Okay.
go through all the cards in the game. There are around 70 cards in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about these founder chest?
So the founder chests is it's more catered towards very engaged current players, investors, guilds, or people that want to invest a bit more heavily into the game. These will go for $1,000 or 0.25 ETH, maybe if you have a reference in ETH at this point. They will act the same way as the Ascended NFTs in the sense that they are playable cards. They will have like different skins, different animations, and when you play with these NFTs, they also generate Ascension crystals. The differences are that the founder chest will generate more. So if you have a founder card, when you play with it, it generates significantly more ACS. They are
How
the
much
most.
more?
So they cost 10. So in the Ascended chest, 4 different rarities of cards can drop: common, rare, epic, and legendary. Each one has a different yield. If you average it out based on the drop rates and everything, let's say it's X. So you get X ACS from an Ascended chest. Founder chest will be 12X.
Oh,
So
damn. Okay.
12 times more for 10 times but they're 10 times the price. So
Yeah.
they're more bang for the buck, ACS wise. And what we think is very cool that we're adding is that the founder cards will act as the governance token. So if you own a founder card, you are going to be part of what we're calling the Castle Crush Council. It's our version of a DAO, where you will be able to vote on tokenomics, game balancing, game mechanics decisions. There will be a treasury for the game. So every time players spend ACS or they buy chests, a portion of those funds, even in AVAX, gets sent to the treasury. The council will decide what to do with those funds. So for example, if it's AVAX, should we run a tournament and reward players with AVAX? Should we raffle it? Should we, I don't know, do something with that AVAX? Should we burn the ACS? So all these types of decisions will be made from the holders of the founder cards. There will be 6,000 in total. So these will be a lot more limited.
Makes sense. Interesting. The balance between these cards, you mentioned one is more geared to players, the other one is more geared towards guilds or investors. What would be the utility of these cards if you wouldn't play the game?
So if you don't play the game, we expect the founder cards to, again, we expect them to accrue in value as the treasury grows and as the game gets more players, right? So you will not be generating any Ascension crystals with them if you don't play. So the value that you would expect is for these founder cards to generate or to accrue in value, and they're very limited. And most of them are going to players, right? So players are going to be avid to get their hands on these cards. They are the most strategic cards for deck building. So for example, the dragon that you see there is a founder card. You cannot get the dragon from the ascended chest ever, right? So these
Okay.
very hardcore players that they want the dragon, they will need to buy it from the secondary market if they didn't get their hands on one already. So there will be always a demand for these cards. And we are also including a renting or a loaning system for NFTs. Should be very simple, self-service. Whoever owns the card can go there. There will be a slider of how much ACS they want to share with whoever plays with their cards. The player can go there and accept the agreement. They can play with the card, and ACS gets automatically split between the player and the owner. So if you don't want to play, you can always keep renting it and own. You can have like passive income if you decide to rent your card.
Yeah.
Which you should.
Very interesting. What about these drops, right? Because basically there would be an initial sale of 13,000 on, let's say, the founder cards, and then 10,000 thereafter every month. Is that correct?
So it's actually 10,000 ascended every month, and then we have 3,000 founder cards. Original plan was 3,000 founder cards on month 1, 3,000 founder cards on month 9, for a total of 6,000, and that's it for the founder cards. We're never gonna sell anymore. So 10,000 ascended.
What about this overview? How should I read it?
So it's 10,000 every month. Plus
okay, I see it now. Yeah, I see it. Okay, so the first set and the second set, those are like the founders.
Yeah.
Month 1 and month 9. Okay, yeah, because it's split. It fucked me up a little bit, but I can see it now.
Yeah, no worries. What happened actually, Colin, is that we got more demand from institutional investors and guilds than we expected. So we oversold the 3,000, and we made an agreement with them to transfer some of the volume that was planned for month 9 to now. So we're going to sell around 4,500 founder cards now, and from 15 to 20K ascended on month 1. And we're bringing this volume from the future. So from month 2 forwards, you can still expect the 10,000 ascended chats every month. And we will have 1,500 founder cards remaining to be sold in the future.
Makes sense. In terms of the timeline for like this scholar system built in and the marketplace, what kind of timeline would we be looking at? Because I think the gameplay you mentioned will be deployed quite quickly.
So the timeline is looking like this. May 19th will be the whitelist sale. Early June, we're expecting to do a token sale. It's not going to be a huge volume, but we're going to do a token sale. You'll not find it in the slide. Sorry, token sale, and then late June, NFTs will be playable. Right, so the scholar system will be online by late June when the NFTs are actually in game and ACS earning will begin. So late June is the schedule.
Right. So basically immediately, kind of.
In a month, yeah, in a month and a bit.
Yeah, but like when the game is deployed, yeah, what we see for other games is when the game is deployed, 10 months later, there might be a marketplace, right? But yeah, obviously.
You mean a secondary marketplace just for trading and selling cards? That should be live by, I think, early June, where we're going to use third-party solutions for that. We're going to sell, we're going to do the primary sales, but for secondary sales, we're going to have it on probably multiple markets.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean like the whole roadmap. I think the most important things I believe to be for an investor that's not going to play the game is the scholar setup, right? The lending and renting out. I think that's one of the most important things because that does create longevity. You can hold on to your asset, but in the meantime, like you're not going to make $1 million, but if you get like $5 a day for doing nothing, then it's great, right? If you have 10 of these founder NFTs, slow and steady, maybe it gives you $1 a day. It's better than nothing a day, right? By just holding these NFTs and not utilizing these assets. I don't want you to speculate on the price or anything. I did see your face, but like the earnings.
No, I mean we do expect, right? This is what we see with other games. But when you have a governance token, supposedly what happens with it is as the game grows, user base grows, so the monthly active users grow, the treasury grows, the price, the value of these governance tokens increases, right? That's what should happen, what we expect to happen, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with you. If you have a founder card or even an Ascension card, it's a no-brainer to rent it. There's no reason why not to. And for the players, it's the same thing. If you're a player and you have space in your deck that is not filled with NFTs, and there's somebody that's renting one, like an owner, there's no reason for you to not rent it.
Yeah, because they could basically get access to powerful cards that they otherwise could not have. So is it
And they're
like that as
gonna
well?
earn ACS for free, let's say.
Yeah. Everybody wins.
Yes.
How does the company make money on this? You guys take a fee?
So for the no, we're not taking any fees. For the primary sales for this first one, month one, we're taking 100% of the NFT sales for wildlife. And then from month two onwards, we're taking 80% of primary sales and 20% gets sent to the treasury.
Okay.
Then for the marketplace fees, we're putting all of that into the treasury. So wildlife is not collecting anything from secondary market trading. Everything goes to the treasury. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. And every time ACS gets spent in any sync that we mentioned, all of that gets sent to the treasury. We don't keep any ACS.
Makes sense. Pierce comes with the difficult questions. Founders cards you can rent out. The others cannot be rented. Well, I think all of the cards can be rented, right?
Yes, all cards can be rented.
Would 6 to 7% return be realistic? I love how people always ask the precise percentages.
Like, there's a lot of simulation involved here, Piers, because I don't know how early you were into the call, but the amount of ACS that we distribute. So the way that you will earn is through how much Ascension crystals your cards will be generating. And because the daily Ascension crystals that we give to players is fixed, as more NFTs exist and are used in gameplay, the amount you get per NFT decreases, right? So in order to keep your share stable, you will need to keep earning ACS and put a portion of that ACS into getting more NFTs and upgrading your NFTs, right? So we have a simulation because we already know how many we will sell. And we also know, because players can create NFTs in game, right? If they already have very powerful Web 2 versions of the cards, they can mint those into NFTs in game using Ascension crystals. We have the data of how many cards exist in the game that are eligible to become NFTs in game. So we ran a simulation and we can share even the Excel file for that. But we think, considering the first 12 months, it was around it was actually a bit higher than 6 to 7. I can send that over, and you can play with the numbers. Like, if you don't agree with the market cap, you can play with the numbers a bit.
Because we never agree, right?
Yeah, you can lower it, and it'll be a bit over 6 to 7% for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like the balance and
simulation.
transparency, it's important. Yeah, I mean, like a simulation at the end of the day, it's again, investing carries the risk, but I like how transparent you are, at least sharing things, talking about like pros and cons, things that are well thought out, like, you know, what I like to call infinite economy, right? As long as you can repurpose the tokens, bring it back into the market and get that push again, then at least there's some form of cycle and not just any Ponzi economics where basically you're just bloating up the entire game and at some point it will have to explode. Or, because the thing is, you guys, in my opinion, right, just my personal opinion, you guys have the brand and already have the risk of having the user. Because if you don't have users, you can make a lot of mistakes and you could just walk away from the project. But if you're basically going to layer your current project, then if it turns out to be a disaster, you might lose a lot of your current revenue, right?
So there's a cool, I just saw the question, I will get to it from Saul, Colin, but just one point I wanted to make. So obviously people play games for fun as well, right? Not for earning reasons. And
Sure.
I myself have played, I think, more than 1,000 hours of Castle Crush over these years. The game has been launched for a while. So I really like the game. And the thing that happens is we will also have, one of the things that I didn't mention is we're designing a system where you can buy the soft currency of the game that is called gold with ACS. So what happens is we think, right? This is always our thoughts. It's hard to simulate this whole economy, but we should have a floor to ACS where below a certain level, it will make a lot of sense for players that aren't interested in earning from just buying a bunch of ACS, using it to transform it into gold, and just advancing their accounts. right?
Hmm.
They're abdicating they're not going to buy NFTs. They're just going to buy gold and upgrade their Web2 version, like their Web2 cards and their Web2 layer of the game, right? So we are putting as many things as we can into ACS, and it's all that we think about, right? How to make ACS more valuable inside the game economy.
Fair
So
enough. That
Saul's
makes sense.
question, if we're going to raise money via launchpads. So we're still talking to a few launchpad solutions. I can share that what our current plans are. I can't promise that we're not going to change them, but we aim to launch at a fixed price. So we're not going to do any of those crazy launchpad systems where prices can keep varying. It's going to be a fixed amount for a fixed price. And if we do that in June, early June, we're likely going to get at least 80% of those funds and put that straight into liquidity. So we're not aiming to raise money exactly via launchpads, but more to provide initial liquidity for the trading pair AVAX, ACS as soon as the game launches.
So it's not about funding the company, so to say, or get more profits. It's more about, otherwise you would have to front the liquidity yourself or get more instability because there's no liquidity.
There will be no liquidity, and I think it's sort of, I don't think like the community is going to provide $1 million of liquidity to the pool by themselves, right? So
Yeah, it depends
unless we
on what
provide
kind
some,
of pool you offer and what kind of market maker is behind it, but I doubt it.
yeah. And again, the game is live, so it's a bit different in the sense that we don't have to hire a whole team of developers and artists to build the game. It's live. Um, Obviously, we do want to make money, so the primary sales of NFTs are the source, right? Especially on this first sale. If you do the math, it's going to be about $5 million, and that's most of the income that we'll make from the game. And then from then on, most of the sinks will, most of the fund spends. So for example, all the ACS spend will get sent to the treasury, and all of that will be a decision of the council of what to do with that.
Fair enough. Very transparent. Any other questions, perhaps? Because the story is clear to me. How many founder NFTs are left, or did you basically you're not going to move any more from the second round to the first round?
So we've basically closed the decision of selling 4,500. It can change a little bit still, but 4,500 out of those, about 3,800 are sold.
All right. So almost there.
Yeah, and that's before the whitelist, right? So we think we'll be, and if any are left, I mean, we always plan on having some for the treasury, so that we can do tournaments, events, marketing. So we'll be happy to keep a few hundred, right? If there are
Yeah,
some left.
if they're left over. I mean, at the end of the day, all the economics would probably be based on those as well. So bringing them into circulation would be perfect. No, yeah, I like it. I mean, it's a good overview, and we don't always have the uniqueness of, well, when I say almost, I mean never, right? We have never seen a game that is ready to launch, and if they are ready to launch, it's usually in like 3 to 6 months, and never in 4 weeks after the NFT mint, right? It's extremely unlikely. In the crypto space, NFTs are usually used for seed investment when they haven't even closed seed on the token. So definitely a great
That's fine. I
opportunity,
mean,
in my opinion. Yeah, it's just the structure of the market, but things develop, and now the bearish trend, we see things adjust, and you guys are doing something great. Perhaps anything else you would like to share with us before we finish this?
no, I think we covered a lot of interesting topics. Just like to leave the communication channel open, so we're happy to do a follow-up, like a quick even chat. Ask me anything. If you want to open a channel in your Discord, we have one, like an NFT questions channel in our Discord. And if anybody in your community, Colin, wants to is interested in purchasing, or if you want to come together as a group, we just have to move fast, because allocation is gonna close soon on the private sales. And for whitelist, as I mentioned, whitelist sale is gonna begin on the 19th. We're already
Right.
collecting wallets from Discord users that have the role there, but we can still add wallets manually to the contract, but that needs to move very fast.
Yeah,
A few more,
makes
like just a
sense.
few more days.
I understand. Perfect. Sounds good. I will definitely be in touch for a follow-up, because I wanted to know how that economy plays out, right? How everything is going to happen when everything goes live. And you guys are developing so quick. So I'll be in touch. Thank you so much once more for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. I will send you the link once we publish it, and then we can take things from there. Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect.
All
Thanks
right.
for hosting this and for inviting us.
Very welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
Have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.